Nick Gehlfuss, of course, the longtime star of Chicago Med, is making his Steppenwolf Theatre debut in Full for Love starting on January 30th. Nick, it's so great to see you. Thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, of course. Great to see you too, man. Happy to be here.
And you know what? I got to say happy birthday. You just celebrated a birthday this week.
I did indeed. Thank you.
And you're in
You,
the middle of
you,
rehearsals. You're celebrating a birthday. I mean, this is a special time for you.
I'm over the moon on cloud nine. I mean, it's a great gift right now to be having a double debut of Steppenwolf and Shepherd. I can't think of a better way of going into the new year, and it checks off a lot of bucket lists for me. I'll tell you that much. Steppenwolf, what a theater, and the group that's working on this production. I just feel so lucky and grateful.
Let's talk a little bit about your journey, because obviously, we'll talk a little Chicago Med, but that
Yeah.
journey from being on this, popular series, based in Chicago, to making your Steppenwolf, theater debut. I mean, was this getting on stage? Was that kind of one of the things that you've been looking to do, or tell me how this opportunity kind of came about?
Well, I'm a theater head at heart. All my training's in theater, so I know that undoubtedly I'll probably return throughout my career. And this, when I found out they were doing Fool for Love at Steppenwolf, I wanted to know if they were holding auditions for non members, studio members, and so I auditioned for it, and I had a meeting with the director, and that's how it all kind of came to be. After I had left the Chicago Med right before the strikes happened, and so it had been a while. I've been out of work, and yeah, I was very thankful this job came around. I know a lot of actors are still trying to get back to it.
Not only is it your Steppenwolf debut, but also the first time that fans get to see you on stage here,
That's right.
especially in a Sam Shepard show, because that's been such a long, part of Steppenwolf's history is is the author and the theater.
Yeah.
Fool for Love, give us a little bit of a context of maybe the synopsis of the show.
So, Fool for Love is a wild love story, and I would say it's an action of the heart. It's to Eddie tracks down May, an ex-lover, old lover. Still, it depends on who you ask, I suppose. And he meets her in this motel, and he comes to take her back. And all these collisions happen based on their histories and what either of them believe is true or not anymore. And it's a wonderful collision. It's raw. It's visceral. Specifically, Shepard says at the beginning, this play is to be performed relentlessly without a break. So as soon as the lights come up, we're off to the races. And it's not a very long play. It's yeah, probably an hour and 10 minutes to an hour to 20 minutes, depending. So it's in your face. It's perfect Steppenwolf material, of course. And we have a fantastic group of creatives that are putting this together. And I'm so excited for people to see this. It is an actor's dream to play these types of roles. And you have to really trust your partners. It's emotionally and physically demanding, and we've got some runs under our belt at this point through rehearsals, and we're all feeling really good at where we're at and knowing where we're going to go.
Because people have seen this, on stage, they've seen it on film. What is it
Yeah.
about, your version of Eddie that you want to bring to Steppenwolf?
There's a big love story component, but there's a big element of family in there as well, and this cycle of life and what is carried over in each generation and what's not, what's omitted. And so I'm really interested in understanding these characters, and it's all there, but the humanizing of their history and why they are who they are. And I mean, Eddie goes on a journey, and I don't want to give anything away, but there's an event that happens here, and these two are forever changed by the end. That's it. That's all I'll say. I mean, there is an event that happens. It's not, a wild plot or crazy plot. It's pretty simple. But the fact is that these two people will never be the same after this hour and 20 minutes.
At 20 minutes of the show. It's not a spoiler, but I heard you had to learn how to lasso for this.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
What a skill to have to figure out, I will say. I have really enjoyed it. Steppenwolf is a well-oiled machine, and they helped me with some resources way before we started getting into rehearsal. I did not know how to lasso. I'm still perfecting it, but I'm having so much fun. When I was home for the holidays, it's a great conversation piece. I'm carrying a rope around with me everywhere I go. I have to do it daily, or else I won't be able to do what's expected of me in the show. And I was roping some of my cousins, my nephews and cousins over the holidays. It's hilarious, and it adds to this event and the dynamic of the story when Eddie brings in this rope.
I've been so curious now too, especially like where do you find a lasso expert, and how many hours a day do you need to practice, to be able to get, whatever you have to do with the lasso in the show?
We found a gentleman named Frank Calzavara up in Wisconsin. I hope I pronounced his last name right. He's the real deal. He's a rodeo guy, and Steppenwolf helped me locate him, and I went up for three sessions up in Wisconsin. I drove up to him on his farm, and we lassoed in his barn, and so he helped me. I did not do this on my own, of course, and I just had a session with him yesterday in the theater. So now we're really narrowing our focus of what needs to be lassoed, and because it's a huge skill, but we're specifying it, of course, for the show. But I do it every day, at least an hour or two. I feel like I have to, and if I don't, I'm glad I did what I did, because I'm at the point where I'm at now, where I'm not losing sleep over this skill. But this is a skill set where you have to, like the medical show I was on, I had to understand how to use all those props. This is a major prop for this guy, and I have to be able to know how to do it just fundamentally, to then even be able to play with the story and why I'm doing it in the first place, which it will be very clear when people see the show.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the other cast members. Obviously, Caroline Neff, you're playing opposite her in the show, but the other ensemble members and just being part of this production.
Caroline is fantastic. Eddie and May have to have a chemistry, and the two actors playing have to have trust in one another, because it's extremely physical and emotional. And we've had some conversations just as far as boundaries, of course, with actors, but she's such a professional, and she's so talented and smart, and I feel really lucky to be opposite of her in this. And Tim Hopper, I remember he was on Chicago Med. I knew him, of course, a little bit before in some of his work. I saw Cliff and Tim, I think, were both in the minutes, I believe. Maybe Tim wasn't. I don't know. I can't remember. But that was the first play I saw at Steppenwolf. And every time I saw a show at Steppenwolf, I walk out going, wish I could be on that stage. I would love to be on that stage someday. So here we are. I even said jokingly after Chicago Med in some interviews, oh, I'd like to play a cowboy next. And so I guess I put it out there, and some of this, you manifest it, and it happens. And I feel so lucky. It's a wonderful group. And I love theater when it's a small cast, one set, pretty much over real time. And this is that. And people are I can't wait for everyone to see our work.
That is amazing. Let's talk a little Chicago Med. Anytime, I mentioned the show, anytime, we've had an interview with a cast member, I'm just always so surprised and, delighted of the reach, not just in the Chicagoland area, but around the world, from fans who love all of the One Chicago shows. I mean, talk a little bit about maybe, that fandom that still follows you, to this day, and, maybe the messages that you still receive.
Well, it's extremely flattering. I can say at this point, and this is not an invitation, but I've never had a negative response to the shows. No one's come up to me and said anything negative. And so I'm always so thankful and look, I'm an actor where I understand the setup. We need viewers to have a job. And I am always happy to hear someone's response to the show. And I'm always happy to meet somebody, a fan. It's just, it's the least I can do to say thank you to someone for their support. And so I'm always grateful for someone coming up and saying hello. It is special in Chicago because of all these shows, film here. And it's not like New York and LA where you see a bunch of people, on your television every single day. But it's always so touching and moving to hear from people. And I mean, it's no surprise that it's reached the lengths that it's reached. Dick Wolf is just, he knows, he's loyal, and I've said this so many times, he has a formula and he sticks to it, and it's not, well, he capitalized on it with the Chicago franchise by having all the shows connected. And that's fans' favorite part. They just love the reality of these shows connected, and it makes so much sense. And so, yeah, the show changed my life. It changed my life, honestly. And this, Chicago became home for now, and who knows how long, but I will never forget the time on Chicago Med, and certainly the support and fans that came with it. And anyone that's local or can make it to the show, I'd love you to come out. It's a very different role than Dr. Halstead, I will say that. And
Also, too, the thing I love too is that if you have your Chicago Med, your fans from the series may not have been to Steppenwolf before, may not have seen a show before. Right. This is a great way to maybe introduce them to theater, maybe see a show that they have never seen before.
Absolutely. I yes. If you've never come to the theater, please. There is something theater can do that TV and film will never be able to do. And as far as this, it's this exchange of energy. And I think it's one of the last shared experiences we can. Not one of the last, but I mean, I love that it's this shared experience that when you leave, you could talk about there's so many television shows that are being streamed all over these days. And I've never heard of some of them, and people watch them at their own pace. So we're not, watching an episode live on television and then talking about it the next day. So, but when you go to the theater, you have this specific experience right in front of you, and you share that with everyone around you, and it's a wonderful thing. And so please come out to the theater. This is the theater that really takes care of actors. It's an actors. I mean, I've been salivating to work at Steppenwolf since I've been here, and it's kind of a real a bucket list thing here for me. And yeah.
It's a dream come true for you. It's a dream come true for fans to be able to come and see you. Food for Love starting January 30th at Steppenwolf, 1650 North Halstead, steppenwolf.org for those tickets. Nick, congratulations on your Steppenwolf debut. Cannot wait to see the show. And thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Rudy. I appreciate it.
Thank you.